All right, so welcome back to Intuition to Income 2026. My name is Abby Gooch, and I am here today with Kevin Russell. Kevin is a dear, dear friend. He is somebody who has a heart of gold, one of the biggest hearts I have ever met. And his empathy and his compassion and the way that he works with people is just incredible. So I wanted to bring him on the show today to let more people know about his amazing work and also for him to share his story. So his company is called Radical Enlightenment, and there's a reason why, because he is really living the truth of who he is and why he's here and to help people get to that next level. So, of course, he's followed his intuition to get there. And so that's what we're going to talk about today. And he's created a business that I know he absolutely loves and helps a lot of people with. So, Kevin, welcome to the show. Thank you for being here.
Thanks so much for having me, Abby. It's an honor. Appreciate it.
Absolutely. So, yeah, I mean, if you just want to let the audience know a bit about kind of where you're at now and how you got there by following your intuition, that would be amazing.
Yeah, I mean, uh, very similarly to I think of a lot of people in this space, at least in my experience, it was a self-serving, self-healing journey. The only reason I'm doing what I'm doing now is because I was healing my own life, healing my own relationships, healing my relationship to not only other people and my partner, my spouse, but my relationship to everything.
Yeah.
My thoughts, my reactions. When I look through the lens of we are in relationship to everything at all times, it really helped me pause and take stock of where I was showing up, how I was showing up across the board, every aspect of life, regardless of what the focus is or what the effort is there.
Yeah.
And it was just this scratch I kept itching, and I kept feeling better the more work I was doing.
Yeah.
And I've done a lot of exploration over the last 20-ish years as far as what are the things for me to help feel better. Very early on, I got an introduction to the importance of food and how much it's kind of a hyper personal equation. Very young, I was on various elimination diets, a lot of allergies, things like that. So that was really the first step. And then it really accelerated, as I mentioned, in my marriage with my relationship to my wife, where we were fighting. Neither of us liked it. We felt like we were both kind of stuck on runaway trains that were colliding with each other constantly. We're like, we just want this to stop.
That's cute.
To your point, when intuition, right timing, you show up and the universe or God or spirit or whoever meets you at that point, it was really a lot of consecutive experiences like that. So in
Mhm.
short order, we found a Western MD who also practiced a form of subconscious inquiry and intervention.
Yeah.
We came across different modalities at the time that we just embraced. And for me, it was like a duck to water. I was learning how to train my intuition actually through muscle testing.
Mm.
And that was shortening the distance, the gap between the wanting, the wondering, the feeling like I don't have it, and the knowing of these are the steps to take to get to where you want to be.
Mhm.
It all culminated in, well, one culmination, one scaling of one peak, and then there's more peaks to scale in life always. Was a massive reconnection enlightenment experience in 2019.
Yeah.
A lot of my extrasensory natural abilities came online. We're all extrasensory. We're all electromagnetic. We're all
Mhm.
quantum in the sense of this moment is really all that exists, and the system that we're in is really the thing that keeps us pinging to the past and to the future. So if we can reconcile our relationship to the system and the mind body and the ways we're thinking, again, relationship, the ways we're thinking, the
Yeah.
ways we are emoting, the ways we're responding and communicating to ourselves, let alone anybody else. That's really where I've seen the most benefit in the shortest amount of time to
Mhm.
getting us to that place of more maybe easeful operation where
Yeah.
we are using intuition as an integrative tool as opposed to thinking, oh, that's something that's nice for others to have. Oh, I wish I had that.
Mhm.
It's a muscle we train just like anything else.
Mhm.
And so the more time we spend cultivating that practice and growing that positive garden on the inside, the more we're going to reap the benefits and be able to harvest that bumper crop of life, so to speak.
I love, love, love the way you said that, Kevin, because it's so true. And by the way, your intuition knows truth. So everybody can actually feel their intuition. We'll go into that a little bit later in the
Yeah.
interview of how you can do that. But I used to be afraid of the word responsibility, but
Mm,
now I love it because when you become responsible for your life and your energy, you can change it. So it's to the
Yeah.
point of what you said, your relationship to your thoughts, your emotions, that is your energetic system that's constantly sending and receiving
Mm,
information. And I just had this beautiful guest stay at the center, and she was feeling like she was worried about being alone, right? And I
mm,
said, you're actually always connected to everything and everyone in every moment. So if you feel your intuition in that beautiful heart of yours, you're going to realize you're never alone.
yeah.
So it's the way you're interacting in each moment is what I want to bring it back to, is that there's such power in what you're saying by changing your thoughts and your energy, right? Your emotions. And to me, the key is your intuition, right? So when you're
Yeah.
in touch with that soul consciousness, which by the way is the most practical thing you can do, following your intuition, it's like
Literally, like paint by numbers, the most that like we want to really simplify the equation. That's it, 100%.
so it's like it's not esoteric, but it's very practical and real. So it's
Yeah.
your gut says not to do something, don't do it. Your gut says to do it. So that's like really simply put. And I don't know how many interviews people have been watching, but the three steps to your intuition is really to bring your awareness from your head to your heart.
Mhm.
Feel everything from that place of love, and then bring your energy down to your core, to your gut feeling. And from there, you're going to know your yes and your no. And you want to just follow it like an inner compass. So I don't want to take too much away from you, Kevin. I just want to remind people of the simple
Yeah.
steps of connecting in with their intuition as they're listening to you, as they're listening to this interview.
Mhm.
So I would love to hear how you've been following your inner compass to really birth this company. I know you're an author,
Yeah.
and you went through a really transformative experience. So I'd love for you to share that if you'd like.
Yeah, I'd appreciate that. So that was the fall of 2019,
Okay.
really. And yeah, everything culminated in this reconnection, quote unquote, enlightenment experience.
Yeah.
And it was a massive coming back home.
Yeah.
It was a massive shift in my relationship to this amazing mind body I'm in, to everyone and everything in the world. And it was a little bit of like a Bambi on ice moment, or like a
Yeah.
newborn foal moment, where I was like, all right, how do I be human now? Like, what am I supposed to do here?
Yeah.
And in short order, things really started falling into place. Um, for example, my previous career was in interface design. So I was a human computer interaction designer, user interface, user experience design. And what I was doing professionally was taking either complex project specs or detailed business requirements and translating them into an easy to use interface that achieves the goal for the user and also achieves the goal for the client, for the business use. And I found after this experience, I'm just applying everything I've been practicing my whole life to the human interface now. And this is where I like to say all of it's fairly simple, but not all of it is very easy.
Mhm.
Because if you can imagine this analogy, that we are flying the plane, we are also the plane that we are flying, and we're trying to fix the plane as we're flying it, as we are the plane.
We're everything.
So it can get a little bit entangled to that point.
Yeah.
And I love that you mentioned responsibility. And this is where, to me, the path to intuition is one of one step at a time. And for me, it really starts with moving through my thoughts. It really started with my thoughts for me. And what I came to understand based on the programmatic language and the conditioning of the system as we're born, it's survival at all costs is really the baseline function of the body. If we look at it through the lens of we are within this system, but this system is not the end all be all definition of who we are as individuals, that really shifted my perception to recognize we are not our thoughts. We are not our reactions. We're not even our emotions. However, we are responsible for them because they are occurring within the system that we are captaining, that we are responsible for. So for me, to your point about that's the example you shared with your client, that we're never alone. But where does that thought come from? That thought, that feeling, or that thought of separation, that thought of isolation. Generally, it's one of conditioned programming. And so I always like to challenge people, if we can start at the thought level, if we can catch those thoughts that are either self limiting debilitating in some way. It's a accusation of another or a judgment or a comparison that just kind of keeps us playing small. That's the kind of starting point in the journey that we can really embrace and help to turn the wheel on the ship, or navigate the plane into clearer skies where there's not as much storminess, so we can get a clearer signal
Hmm.
amidst the noise. And for me, that's really the differentiation. It's connecting with the signal and differentiating the signal versus the noise that most of us experience in a noisy mind, or an anxiousness or stress, or even depression in the body, an energy and negatively energized system, let's call it.
Hmm. Yeah.
So it always starts with us and it always ends with us.
Yeah.
And so we're all at different places on the journey. So what I would encourage everyone listening to adopt or to explore is starting right there with that idea, with that thought. You're not your thoughts, you're not your emotions, you're not your reactions. And if we recognize we're not those things, that can create a little bit of operating distance, a little bit of space, breathing room. So we can clock it, so we can acknowledge it and see it like, oh, that's an interesting thought. Why did I have that negative thought about that person? Or why did I have this thought? No, I can never do that because you're a worthless POS and you've never done anything right in your life. Like, whoa, that's not my thought. Where the heck did that come from?
Right.
And so differentiating the thoughts is a huge first step.
Mhm.
And really, it's a daily, this is an integrative practice that I've cultivated in my own journey. I recommend all my clients attempt and integrate. And that's really where I focus. And I'm not exclusive. Just this morning, I was doing my morning grounding and balancing exercises. I was using inner inquiry to get my day oriented. What's the highest priority? But none of it was through thinking. I was using intuition, seeing where the kind of pieces are on the playing board, and without resistance or attachment, resistance to doing something, attachment to an outcome, whatever it is. Okay, what's the highest priority and what's my day look like?
Mhm.
And so from that place of intuition or open curiosity, we can allow those answers to come to us, or we can meet that answer in the middle, right in the middle.
Mhm.
And I like to call that finding the beingness in the doing of life. So we can find our being when we connect with our essence and our source and our core of, okay, in this moment I have breath in my lungs. Many of us have a roof over our heads, whether it's a car roof, a small family, an ADU roof, or an apartment or a house, whatever. Okay, I've got shelter, I've got breath, I've got food, I've got water. And sometimes it really does come down to taking it down to that reorientation in the moment. And we can do it visually. Okay, what are three things I see, three things I hear, three things I feel right now? I feel cool air on my skin. I see the sun coming through the window. I'm smelling some freshness in the air. So reorienting in space and time into this moment can really help get us over that hump of reactivity,
Mhm.
so we can be more present for that signal. We don't get caught in the noise as much.
Mhm. It's funny, I had this little aha moment as you were talking. So I think that's why meditation works, is you're literally quieting the mind
Yes.
so you can feel the presence, of God, the universe. And to me, when you say being, I understand being present, right? Like being aware of the physical. I'd like it to take a step deeper. And it's in the course I teach, the Intuitive Success Club, we go over your essence of being, meaning what is your essence feel like? So is it calm? Is it loving? Is it generous? They're like essence soul qualities. So I
Mm-hmm.
invite everybody to just take a quick moment to think about like, what are my soul qualities? What am I naturally good at? When I walk into a room, are people drawn to me? Like, how is that attraction happening from an energetic level of just who you're being,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah.
Because that being, I swear to you, is attracting everything in your life. The thoughts and the emotions are emitting that energy of your being.
And that's the again, opportunity and challenge. It really is an inside out job.
Yeah.
And if we have fear or scarcity or judgment or anything that's keeping us kind of in that stuckness of old patterns,
Yeah.
it's just putting roadblocks in between us and where we want to be.
Hmm.
And it's funny, the present moment can be absolutely terrifying for some people, because we're conditioned to grind, 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 do, go, go, go. Whether it's being of service for others, whether it's the rise and grind, kind of entrepreneurial work ethic that actually Harvard has now just proven is counterproductive.
Hmm.
Waking at 5 a.m. does more damage than benefit as far as productivity and adrenal reserves and immune system reserves. I just saw a study came out recently. So to that point, I think whatever anybody else is doing is fine. We can use those as sign points, as reflections, but it has to be processed through our own personal filter, to your point. What I share a lot of times is when we're looking for fulfillment, we're looking to find fulfillment in life. Some people might call that success. What I call fulfillment is identifying your spark, that thing that you have that nobody else does,
Yeah.
whether it's music or nursing or early childcare or teaching or plumbing or electric, whatever.
Hmm.
Find that thing that comes easier to you than anybody else
Hmm.
or other people. And then what are you interested in? What lights you up? What do you want to explore and learn more about? And when we can combine our natural talent with an interest and make that something we do for our living or that we're following as a pursuit, to me, that's fulfillment. That's finding the flow state.
Yeah.
It's finding that pocket of life where there's the energy, there's the momentum, there's the resilience, and it doesn't feel like struggle. It doesn't feel like climbing out of a hole.
Hmm.
And the other side of that equation is, well, what are the emotions, the experiences, the traumas, and the beliefs that put us in the hole in the first place?
Hmm.
Because when we address those, the hole disappears.
Hmm.
And
Yeah.
so, really, what we're doing is a reductive exercise. To your point, we all have the intuition, we all have the inner knowing, we all have that divine spark of um, potentially connecting with the why of what we're here for ourselves individually. It's an individual question and answer. And then, what do we want to do with it? And then we open up to choice and to creatorship in life because so many of us don't feel like we have agency, like we have autonomy, like we have freedom to explore that space. And again, it's an inside out job. So, freedom, intuition, abundance, wealth, what does that even mean? What does wealth mean to us?
Yeah.
So many of us are striving for these things and we haven't really defined them or written the program for what it means for us at the subconscious level. So we're kind of grasping for other people's answers. And we can take parts of other people's answers, but we have to make them our own and integrate them in a way, to your point, that we can connect with them.
Hmm.
So, what is what you mentioned earlier? What does a yes or a strong pull towards something feel like within the entire system, not just in the mind?
Hmm.
What does a no or a not for me feel
Hmm.
like within the entire system, not just in the mind?
Hmm.
Because if we stay operating from the neck up, we're going to miss cues. We're going to miss opportunities. We're
Yeah.
going to stay stuck in the muck of worry or comparison or judgment or not feeling like we're far enough along.
Yeah.
But if we can reintegrate the entire experience and use the entire physiological system, get everything on board and on our team, as opposed to our protector or our jailer,
Yeah.
that's where we really step into using and being able to benefit from the full strength and power of these amazingly powerful systems we find ourselves in.
Yeah, I love that. I'm just taking a moment to pause and be with what you said because it really is the way the intuitive success coaching process works. It's the activation of your intuition and the clearing of the blocks, right?
Mhm.
So when there's that clear space, you're in alignment with your highest self. And that's
Yeah.
what you talk about, the flow state. It's really the way of being that you came here to fulfill. And that's
Mhm.
why you feel good when you're doing it because it's your purpose.
Right. And you feel off and mucky, or maybe you get sick often when you're not. I
Yeah.
mean, it was I at different times I would get like really a couple times a year I'd get pretty sick, like a flu or a cold or something like that.
Yeah.
And whether it was at odds with something I was feeling internally, or whether I was at odds with a project I was working on or a client that we had, for whatever reason, it was this chronic thing. And many people go through these seasonal allergies. I used to have food allergies. I used to have seasonal allergies. I used to find struggle and strife with work.
Mhm.
And the more I'd let go of beliefs that were holding me back, comparisons, judgments, beliefs about myself, beliefs about the world, but to your point about what we're in relationship to and responsible for. What's my relationship to money that I was born into from my family of origin? What's my relationship to family? What does that mean to me? And there's no right or wrong answer. It's just what is the answer that's going to provide us with the most fill in the blank, the most benefit, the most peace, the most uh, presence, the most non attachment, the most fuel in our engine.
Yeah.
But if we're never looking for an answer with openness and curiosity, if we think we always know, oh, I know this, or if I don't know this, I need to know this,
Hmm.
the accumulation of knowledge is great.
Hmm.
But if we're not applying it in practice, then it's just a fancy book on the shelf collecting dust. So it's integrating the knowledge, it's integrating the experience, and it's shifting that relationship internally to the system, recognizing it's the sum of the part, or the whole is greater than the sum of the parts.
I love that. That's so beautiful. It's almost like the hologram. Like when I
Mm.
was still a kid growing up, I remember I saw this like image of what I think is a hologram. And it's like you are connected to everything. And it's like, and actually, when I was a child at 8, I remember there's a pea stove, by the way, that just,
Oh, beautiful.
it's, this is what I mean by the
Yeah.
interaction of like we're always connected to all of life. But I was in the laundry room at 8 years old and I had my hand out and I remember saying, Hey, mom, I feel the presence of God. And I said, and the whole world, I didn't say the presence of God, I said the world, like it's holding me and I'm holding it at the same time. And
Yeah.
that is exactly the oneness. And I believe the word is hologram too. Like you are part of the whole and
Mm.
it's all interconnected, right? And so when we realize
Yeah.
that it's this constant interaction of how we're being that's actually creating the results in our life. It's really
Yeah.
profound. That's radical
It's
enlightenment, man.
it's right. It is. It is. And it's amazing. Again, I can't tell you how often I have the conversation around it's all fairly simple, but none of it's very easy.
Yeah.
Again, for all the reasons that we've talked about. And
It
it's
can
like,
be though, my friend. I swear to God, once you're in alignment,
oh,
it
it can be.
is,
It
you
can
know?
be. Well,
Yeah.
and I feel like that's where the relationship to the programs, the condition patterns, and the triggers come in.
Yeah.
Because so often we're looking for a source outside of us to point the finger to that we can use as a deeper understanding or maybe justification of how we're feeling.
Hmm.
Oh, well, you did this to me. Oh,
Hmm.
well, I experienced trauma and abuse growing up. So that's the reason for the way that I am. If we stop at that level, if we stop at that part on the journey, and we use experiences, most of them are negative, or anything else to justify the reasons for our beingness in the moment, the reasons for our negativity, our sadness, our depression. We start to argue for our limitations because those are the things that have kept us safe.
Mm.
And this is the, again, challenge and opportunity because all the parts of this system are, if we look at it from a parts or a role standpoint, we've got a protector. Most of us have a critic who's so sick and tired of this protector program being run that we're more critical of ourselves. Why do you keep doing this?
Yeah.
Why do you keep choosing these same relationships? Why do you keep
Yeah.
searching and going for all these different trainings when you know you've got it all inside?
Yeah.
Put the thing down, push the button, step into it.
Yeah.
But taking that leap of faith can be terrifying. It can be debilitating
Kevin, I'm
if we
in
don't.
awe
Yeah,
right
yeah,
now. I
you're
have to
having
tell
a
you,
what's going on? Yeah, yeah,
literally, the pea stub flew into the garden where there's new seeds being planted, and then
yeah.
another pea stub landed right next to it.
I love it. I
I
saw
was
your
just
face. You're
like,
like,
oh my
something's
God,
going
I'm
on.
sorry, but like I have to tell
That's
everybody what's
brilliant.
happening. Like they are in, I mean, there's a little part of the garden that got
Yeah.
reseeded. That is so sweet. Anyway, okay, sorry, getting back to you.
No,
I'm so fascinated by
I
nature.
love it. Well, that's the thing. Again, presence and awareness, and that's where we can connect with the magic.
Yeah, and that's the seed
Whether it's,
of love too.
yeah,
It's the seed of love. Sorry. Like it's like
yeah,
to
yeah,
me, it's like bringing peace and like seeding your life with love. And
yeah,
that's the first class of the whole course. It's creating from a foundation of love. And it's like
yeah.
take a moment to calm your nervous system. And I think that is one of the things you do the absolute best. Like
Mm.
every time I talk to you, I think I told you this last week, like there's just peace. Like my nervous system's like, ah. And so that's the result of like when you actually are in alignment, you feel the peace, you feel the love. God, more birds are coming. It's
I
just
love
it's
it.
amazing, right? And so it's like that is what happens when you start clearing those blocks. You get in
Yeah,
alignment, you feel the peace, and you're able to create your life from love. The
yeah,
biggest hindrance to that, and I think everybody experiences it as part of the human condition, is fear, because it
yeah.
literally disconnects you from love. And that's the illusion, which I believe is what you're talking about with like the body mind system, the programming. When
Mhm.
you have a moment of disconnection, it's like almost like for me, I feel panic sometimes. And it's like, okay, how do you
Sure.
bring it back to the equilibrium of your intuition that can calm and
Yeah.
then start recreating from that loving place, right?
Yep.
So, anyways, again, I'm just so in the moment, so I apologize for interrupting, but
No,
it's too much fun to not say anything.
I no, I love, well, that's to me, that's what this is all about.
Yeah.
Because, what are we doing here if we're not finding presence in the moment, presence in the conversation, presence in our space?
Yeah,
And sometimes it is that, hey, hold on, I'm going to stop presence in this because this presence is happening as well.
totally. Interconnection. So, anyways, back to what
Yeah.
you're saying.
So I think to me the way that that connects, and you touched on it earlier, is we are the ocean in a drop and a drop in the ocean.
Yeah.
And it's that yes and um where, and again, it's there's layers to it. So to your point, if we are connected to ourselves, we are more connected to our source and we're more connected to our intuition.
Mhm.
And what I mean by connected to ourselves is using the mind body to as more of a navigation tool. The signals we get, look at them as a check engine light in a car,
Mhm.
because it's a signal our system is giving us. And the symptom is where most of us get stuck. Most of us stop at identifying the system and the symptom and trying to address the symptom without recognizing there's a deeper message behind the symptom and the signal. And if we connect with what that is, whether it's something to reconcile as a thought, release as an emotional energy, or move through and transform our relationship to as an experience, that's how we do it. That's really the simplest way of approaching it.
Yeah.
And getting to that place of clarity or peace
Yeah.
can feel really, if not terrifying, really unfamiliar,
Mhm.
because most of us operate in low grade stress responses all the time.
Mhm.
So that's your point about settling the nervous system, grounding in the moment. That's the natural state of living. That's the higher state of being that ironically all animals connect with. And we have extracted ourselves from that natural cycle of peace, alert, and rest. And it's all high alert all the time. And then most of us crash instead of resting. And then we're doing the best we can to get any semblance of, reserves from our adrenal system, our nervous system, our immune system. But because we're so running around all the time, we're so distracted from actually what's going on. That's when we get sick. That's when we get symptomatic. That's when we get chronic illnesses, whether it's mental, physical, or emotional. And so getting back to that baseline, giving yourself that, the analogy I usually use is look at a gazelle that's escaped being chased by a cheetah in Africa.
Yeah.
Like imagine you're watching a nature documentary and Sir Richard Attenborough's, narrating it, and the gazelle gets away. The cheetah doesn't get its meal. Does the gazelle go back to the herd and start complaining and bitching and moaning and pointing the finger at the cheetah? Can you believe what that jerk did? I can't believe he even tried to do that. Oh my gosh. 3 weeks later, you remember that thing that happened that one time? Oh my gosh. No, they give a massive somatic shake and they go right back to grazing.
Oh.
So we never give ourselves that somatic shake to go back to that neutral, go back to that baseline, that equanimity, that contentment, that peaceful presence.
Mhm.
Because most of us don't feel like, one, we deserve it, two, we're capable of it, or three, that we're there yet to be able to embrace it.
Mhm.
But what I found is if we're not creating the blueprint of beingness on the journey, when we get to the thing that we think is going to fulfill us, save us, make us happy, make us feel like we've accomplished something or successful, there's going to be an aspect of emptiness to it because we haven't been defining that feeling for ourselves absent of whatever the thing is we're going for first. And that's kind of that's kind of the rub. That's kind of the oxymoron where it's like, well, it's important to feel abundance and feel love and feel peace and feel content first, and then we experience it in life. And so many of us are looking at the equation from the outside in, saying, no, I need to experience those things externally so then I can feel them internally. But if our antenna is not programmed to receive that, the external inputs will never be enough. No amount of success, no amount of relationships, no amount of whatever, baseball cards, Labubu figurines, whatever the thing is that we're collecting that we're thinking is going to make us feel good or feel better or feel safe, it's diminishing returns until we feel that first on the inside. Mm-hmm. And then the need to have that externally, ironically, diminishes. It's like, oh, I'm already feeling content. I'm already feeling successful. Mm-hmm. I don't need to build this or have this or sell this in order to feel that. Mm-hmm. And then the building and the success is so much more aligned and integrated, mm-hmm. as opposed to a need and a desperation around it. It really changes the entire experience with every step of the way, mm-hmm. from inception, from inspiration to the doing of the creation, mm-hmm. and then to the fulfillment of the having it come to fruition, whether that's getting your first client, selling your business, becoming a best-selling author. And the thing that most people don't recognize when they see these fireworks going off for certain people in certain ways in life, not many people see the 5 to 10 years of hard, dedicated work it takes to become an overnight success.
Yeah. So to your point, backing you up 100%, the result is actually an expression of you. So
hold on, that's really important. That to me, if we could sum up this entire I feel like that was it. The result is an expression of what you are already having on the inside.
Yeah. Yeah.
I'm sorry. That's
you know, it's okay. I love that. And I guess for me, it's like I love helping people live their dreams because I've done that most of my life. There's pockets where I'm like, man, I'm frustrated. Okay, what do I need to do? And actually, Kevin is my coach, everybody, just so you know. So I have those bumps in the road too, but I'm also very successful in living my dreams. Yeah. And it means that they have become reality. I've thought things, I've become them, and then they've manifested, right? Including the center, including our friendship, like so many things. And the amount of fulfillment is worth a million, trillion, billion dollars because you feel so amazing. Because I do not say, oh, I want that thing to feel good. I say, I am the love I want to express. I want to serve. Oh my God, I have the center. Oh my God, like all of these beautiful things, because exactly what you said, it's an energy that's already inside that I get to experience, right? And then if I get blocked, I go to Kevin and other people come to me as their coach, right? And amazing friendships, right? And relationships. So it's kind of like, I just want to say that because to me, integrity is living it. And I can tell you that I'm living it and you can live it too. And so that's why I want to share the authenticity of that you can live your dreams. And it is from the inside out. And that is why I have the Intuitive Success Club. It's literally the steps to activate what's inside of you, clear your blocks, monetize the gift, and live what you love. Like that's why you're here. And so we all have our organic, unique way of doing it, right? So Kevin has his process. I'm going to give you links to, how to access him. Find your own intuition, your own voice, and follow it. But no, we are here to support you, and you absolutely can live your dreams. So again, full circle, your expression is your reality, right? Like you are here to live it. Mm-hmm. Right. So if you need to like discern and readjust, be like, okay, what else do I want and why? And connect to that energy and let's fly. So, yay.
Yeah. Absolutely. That's 100%. I mean, that's a mic drop moment right there. That was great. Yeah, it really is.
So,
and to your point, like none of us are exclusive of the opportunities and also the challenges that come with living in these human bodies.
Yeah.
And I mean, I seek out my team, my helpers as well. Like I mentioned, I regularly, if not daily, do the exercises that I recommend every single client, every single human on earth practice. Mm-hmm. And I look at it through the lens of hygiene. Mm-hmm. And so most of us are pretty good with our external hygiene.
Hmm.
We brush our teeth, we take showers, we wash our clothes. Sometimes dirty dishes pile up in the sink. Most times they get done eventually. But we don't have a lot of awareness or visibility into our energetic hygiene. And that's where I really encourage everybody. The KISS method works wonders. Keep it simple.
Yeah.
Daily nervous system reset exercises, hitting that reset button, allowing the system to come back to a neutral instead of a heightened state of being. And then also the opportunity and the challenge again is communicating only from that place. Because if we're communicating from a stressed or reactive state,
Hmm.
we're not even the ones having the conversation.
Hmm. Yeah.
And this is where I differentiate capital K Kevin versus lowercase k Kevin.
Yeah.
Capital K Kevin is my embodied self. That is what I look at as me, my true self, exclusive of any experience, identifier, role, hat, or mask I have worn in life. That's all lowercase Kevin stuff. That's the conditioned, programmed, um, more inundated self, where we're taking in all of this input and all of this noise in the form of people's opinions, media, social media. What we're eating, drinking, thinking, feeling, and emoting are all inputs and filters. And so cleaning up those inputs and filters by doing some daily nervous system reset exercises is usually the first place I recommend people start, whether or not they're working with a helper or not. This is a DIY thing all of us can do to really start to get out. I call it the analogy is the car and the driver.
Yeah.
And most of us are not driving the car. Most of us have our subconscious safety programs driving the car. Most of us are tied up in the trunk, just
Mm.
passengers in this car careening through life, feeling like we don't have control, we don't have agency, we don't have choice, we don't have freedom. And to your point, with a desire or a demand for freedom comes responsibility, because that's true freedom is being self-sustaining, self-fulfilling, self-regulating, self-governing is really what our birthright is. But we're born into a system of, what would be a good word, of disempowerment, really, where mom or dad has the answer, and then teacher or spiritual or community leader has the answer, and we're always looking for answers outside of ourselves because that's the way we've been conditioned. But to your point, every single one of us has that direct line to our source, whether we look at it as a bat phone or a divine conduit or whatever. That's that hyper personal relationship that nobody else really can tell us how that is or what that is for us, because it is so hyper personal. Now we can share our experience and we can share signposts of how we can connect with that source. But that conversation is one that's very, very personal, and it's very intimate in the sense of, full circle back to the beginning of the conversation, we are never alone.
Yeah.
We always have our co-pilot or our sage advisor, or our co-creator of life that we can really, really rely on. And again, it can take a perception shift, but if we shift from the world is doing this to me to every atom in the universe has my back and wants me to be successful,
Mhm.
it just shifts our relationship to everything. But again, it's inside out. It's that thought, it's that feeling, it's that place of being that we're operating from that really determines the quality of life we're going to experience.
Yeah. So a couple things. So the first one is you talked about a plane. Didn't you talk about a plane? I don't know, maybe somebody.
Yeah, plane was the first one. Yeah,
Okay.
I do a lot of analogizing.
Okay. So I have something to add to that. So it's like it's so the universe is the wind beneath the wings of that plane. That's
Ooh,
how connected you are.
love it. Love it.
Um, the second thing is that same guess. Like it just makes me laugh so hard. Um, so going back to cleaning the energy,
Mhm.
instead of just the physical. So So the way this person got here is she actually originally came to San Diego to visit this goat farm, right? And
Nice.
so it was like physically like really dirty. She's like, there's mud everywhere. They told me to rub the pigs, whatever. And she ended up like having mice on her in the middle of the night. And she's like, forget this, like I'm out of here. And so she found me.
So she was staying at the farm.
She was staying at the farm and then she came
Gotcha.
to stay at the center, but she
Gotcha.
originally came to San Diego to stay at this goat farm, right? So this
Yeah.
is the
Yep.
experience she had, right? Like mud everywhere, physically very dirty, mice on her in the middle of the night, right? Like
Yeah.
pigs, like, and she had some messages from the animals, which were beautiful, right? Then she
Okay.
found me, came to the center and had this beautiful, peaceful experience, did a session. And so
Nice.
I think it was after the session, she comes out. It was sometime that afternoon. And she's like, do you have laundry? Can you like do the laundry? Like, I was like, actually, we don't have laundry here. But I can tell it's the energy that you're wanting to clear off that. And she's like, yes, I gotta clear the energy. So I'm like, here you go. Here is the energetic spray. So I have something has essential oils, and it's just this clearing of just high
Yeah.
vibes, beautiful, clean energy. And I'm
Yeah.
like, here's, this magic bottle. It's like right over there to clear the energy, right?
Yeah.
And she's like, thank you so much. And so she cleared the energy and had the most magical day. So, yes, we want to do our laundry, but like
Yeah.
also do your energetic laundry because that will make you feel amazing. And I know
Yeah.
there's sometimes like I've gone to events or connected with somebody and just felt so good energetically that I don't even want to take a shower because the energy feels so good. So it's like just notice how you feel. What is the energy that you're running? What needs to clear? And then come into alignment and then also do the laundry if you want.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. And a lot of times that's hard to connect with. It's
Yeah.
not, Abby just eloquently and beautifully kind of shared the step-by-step process. And that's where I always say, like, most of this we can do on our own. And it always is really powerful to have an outside perspective or outside kind of container or space holder so we can connect with what's there for us. And this is that, again, that challenge. Our system has a vested interest in keeping things the same, in not changing,
Mhm.
because all it knows is what's it experienced. Our mind body system doesn't have the necessarily the awareness or the experience of our thoughts and our imagination and the places we're able to go in our mind that we aren't necessarily able to go physically all the time.
Mhm.
And so reconciling that and also open to help,
Mhm.
open to the helpers.
Mhm.
And to your point, I think you mentioned it, or if not, maybe we're going towards that. I tried a ton of things to find a few that work really, really well and were wildly successful and very efficient
Mhm.
because that was my goal and my desire.
Mhm.
When I was coming up kind of in this space, a lot of the prevailing wisdom I was hearing was, well, meditate up to 8 hours a day or say your mantra up to 800 times a day and that'll do it. I'm like, that sounds awful. That sounds like the most miserable thing I could ever do. I'd so much rather go do things that I'm excited about or light me up as opposed to like forcing a meditation or just mindlessly just repeating something on loop without it being able to be embedded or programmed at the subconscious level. And to me, that was the differentiator, is really learning the dynamic between the subconscious and the conscious mind,
Mhm.
the programmed autonomic nervous system. And this is where science and spirituality in my mind really blend. It's a very overlapping Venn diagram. And there's a beautiful quote from Niels Bohr. I actually have it in the first section of my book. And he's one of the godfathers of modern quantum physics. And he says, the first sip of natural sciences will make you an atheist. But at the bottom of the glass, God is waiting.
That's beautiful. Never heard that. I love it.
So through that lens, I feel like our pursuit as humans, whether it's through the scientific lens or a spiritual lens or a business lens or whatever, we're all trying to attempting to answer that question for ourselves. What's it all for? What's it all about? What is God? What am I doing here? And the answer has always been within us,
Yeah.
but it's the noise of survival
Yeah.
that really keeps us
Yeah.
perceptively separate from it.
Mhm.
And it can be terrifying letting go of those survival programs, because especially when that's all our systems known and it has that vested interest, like I said, of keeping things the same. When we make changes, it's really important to not only reduce and remove the thoughts, the energy, the beliefs, the triggered reactions, the bruises of past traumas, but also replace it with something that supports and serves us.
100%.
And so that's where, when we get into a little bit of the deeper work, when we focus on something we don't want, we're always going towards a goal of what we want to experience more of. Most times that comes from an emotional or uh, feeling standpoint. Instead of feeling stressed, I'd rather feel peaceful. Instead of feeling taken for granted or worthless, I'd rather feel worthy and capable. So it's not just the reductive exercise, that's the big part of it, but it's getting, kind of cleaning out that wound that, if we're looking at it through the lens of a physical wound, might be festering, might be inflamed, might be infected, and soothing and salving it so it returns to normal, so it returns to baseline. And from that place, and we've touched on it a couple of different times, all things are available to us. All things we can achieve or connect with or have or be or do. But we can't have both.
Mhm.
And
Yeah.
that's the rub. Most people want everything to stay the same, but to get everything they want. They don't be because we are one, it's programmed. Our system's like, no, don't change. Change is dangerous. Change, we don't have a blueprint or an operating manual for, so we can't keep you safe. And this is the mind body talking to the spirit or the soul.
Mhm.
And so we build a better program. We build a better playbook. And that then now kind of takes us into that second step of the deeper work, which is the integration.
Mhm.
And integrating those new ways of thinking, challenging those old thoughts, because nobody else can be the gatekeeper of those but us.
Mhm.
Nobody else has purview or entry into our thought space as much as we do.
Mhm.
And so it's us being our own support system. It's us challenging those negative thoughts, recognizing they're not even ours. So it's differentiating what is ours and what isn't, going back to that signal versus noise comparison. And then connecting with those that we're like, I feel like they've got something for me, or I'm really curious about what they're doing. I think that can help me. And staying open to those helpers when the time is right.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah, 100%. There's just one thing I want to share about from what I know and teach in NLP is there's actually, so NLP is called neuro-linguistic programming.
Mhm.
So it's actually reprogramming your nervous system. It's a way to do it, like you're saying, to clear out the old and bring positive ones in, but a
Yep.
way that you can bridge the gap through change is to actually preserve the positive byproduct, is what it's called,
Okay.
which means you can maintain, say, you want to feel safe because we all do.
Mhm.
So you're like, let me maintain the feeling of groundedness
Yep.
that, this has. And then you take that feeling into the new situation because you want to make sure your nervous system feels safe. So that's the way you do it. You actually
Mhm.
are able to preserve the positive byproducts of the present state. So that's something more I can talk about in the course. But I just wanted to let
Yep.
everybody know you don't have to be terrified to change. There is a way where you can actually feel good and bridge that gap by taking the positive emotion into the new situation of change where you can have that and something more, right? So you're
Totally.
expanding
Yep.
and feeling good because your subconscious mind will not do anything that doesn't feel safe. It'll literally shut the system down.
Exactly.
So that's why, we teach that. So, anyways, I know we don't have a whole lot of time left. I feel like it's important to share your radical enlightenment story,
Mm.
also a way that people can get in touch with you and your website. So, real quickly, what is your website, Kevin, and how can people get in touch? And then we'll wrap with your story.
Yeah, absolutely. Appreciate it. So the best place to get in touch would be kevinrussell.guide. And from there, you'll get links to more about working one-on-one. You'll get more links to radicalenlightenment.com, which is where a lot of our media, a lot of our kind of self-starting DIY resources and support is. And then you also have links to the Quantum Consciousness Training Academy, which is another branch of the work. And it's really that handoff, that what's it called? The knowledge transfer
Mhm.
of this is how to start looking at our system differently through a different lens in order to have not only a more successful relationship with our own system, with all of our own parts, but also with everybody else and everything else in life. And that was really a byproduct of what was kind of the journey and the culmination of the experience that led to radical enlightenment, which was that experience in 2019, that reconnection, enlightenment, whatever you want to call it. And in that experience, the voice in my head changed, which was the first kind of novel thing that happened. And what I heard in my own voice was, "Oh my gosh, I'm so glad you made it. We're gonna have so much fun together." I'm like,
Who's
I'm like,
talking?
is there a hidden mic? Do I have an earpiece I didn't know about? Like, what's going on here? And then it was a facilitated experience, and I come out of the process, and the facilitator gives me this like just downloads of amazing information. And it was crazy because she was speaking in the language that I used in my previous career, in my design career. So it was like the inside language that we use with designers and developers, the shorthand, industry insider language. And she's saying, I don't know what this means, but I'm just going to say it. I'm like, oh my gosh, I know exactly what you're meaning. And it was just to your point about like open to what's there. What was coming through her was specifically for me, and the way that it was able to connect like that was using familiar language. Another thing she shared was, okay, so you just connected with your highest self, and you're here to create a new human design. So it's like you were on the elevator in a high rise going from the third to the fifth floor, and your guy in the ninth floor is like, hey, buddy, up here, this is where the action is.
Yeah.
So that was the inspiration for the title of the book, My Guy in the Ninth Floor. We've all got one, whether we call it God, Spaghetti Monster, Mickey Mouse,
Yeah.
Donald Duck, Superman, whatever it is. I've got one younger client. He likes to use Supercomputer of Me. So again, the lens through which we look doesn't matter as long as it works for us.
Mm.
And so I get all this information, get this download. As soon as she said, you're here to create a new human design, I recognize that human-centered design is kind of an archetype identifier already existed. This is going to be something else. This is more of a handbook of how to thrive in these amazing bodies, more like an owner's manual. And so the experience was the Thursday before Thanksgiving, 2019, for those of us that are in the United States. That was like the third week in November. And then in about 2.5 weeks between Thanksgiving and Christmas that year, the book downloaded. I can't even say I wrote it. And it started coming through in a way that I could handwrite. And then it started coming through faster, and I had to go to typing on a computer. And then it started coming through so fast, I just went to voice dictation, because it was a download of the integration of spirituality, science, quantum physics, physiology, biology, and just putting it all together in a way that, one, made sense for me through all the research and exploration I've been doing for almost my whole lifetime. And two, it came through in a way of succinctness that anybody can use and pick up no matter where they are on their journey, whether it's a beginning place of priming the system for greater expansion, or you've been on the path for a while and you're looking to really take those steps for yourself to reconcile that relationship. And that's where the radicals come in. And so that there is some prescription in there about looking at life through the lens of radical energy, how crazy our energetic experience is. You know, most of us use Wi-Fi and cell service and don't think twice about it, but we question our own energy for some reason. So it's looking at it through the lens of radical energy, radical honesty, to speaking to language repatterning, using our thoughts to be able to tweak the quality of thought we have, radical empathy and radical acceptance, radical empathy for ourselves, radical acceptance of all things that lead us to finding that space of radical freedom that comes with radical responsibility.
Beautiful.
And it can be very challenging. It's been challenging to me. I still challenge these thoughts and these approaches just to make sure that they still hold water, because I never want to just rest on something because it was a thought I had or something I connected with or downloaded. I want to ensure that what I'm sharing and speaking to is valid, because the last thing that I want is to spend time in the darkness grasping at straws and things that aren't there, or things that maybe have a lot of good lip service, but not a lot of substance to them. And I like to say, less talk, more rock. Like, if we're really ready to do this thing, let's do this thing. So we spend less time in the messy middle, less time in the muck, and more time on that true path that's always been there for us.
Yeah, I love that. So, what was your story, Kevin, where you had this awakening, is the way I describe it? And I still remember you saying how many like Epsom salt baths you took. And it's like, I totally relate because, yeah, I
Yeah.
love Epsom salt baths. So, if you just want to share your personal story of how that happened for you, I think that would be really awesome.
Yeah. And that was, a lot of people will do retreats, we'll do plant medicine, we'll do heightened experiences. Um, the analogy I use is mine was one of just more hiking through or hacking through a dense jungle, one step, one machete swing at a time.
Yeah.
And so for me, my intentional journey with really getting into the subconscious and repatterning, reprogramming, reconfiguring everything. It was about a 3-year journey. I was very grateful and I'll say blessed that my partner, my wife, was down for this journey as well. We both said yes. We both stepped in. We both held the mirror up to our own stuff that was getting in the way of our relationship. And then I just took the reins and ran with it
Mhm.
because I came across some research where I was like, many people have probably heard this, about 85% of our thoughts on any given day are going to trend towards negative, a comparison, a judgment, a fear. And about 95% of our thoughts are going to be a version of something we've thought before. So it's the merry-go-round of the mind, where
Interesting.
it's self-depreciating, it's blaming somebody outside of us, thinking we can't do it, whatever it is. And so learning how to self-muscle test and then muscle testing almost everything was actually the way that when I look back, I was reverse engineering, trusting my intuition and taking it one step, one muscle test at a time, staying open and curious to whatever I was looking at, which culminated. So it was diligence, it was stick to itiveness, it was daily practice of breath work, brain balancing, nervous system resetting to maintain those gains I was experiencing. So I wasn't backsliding into the old habits and patterns, which led to that experience in 2019, which was the big kind of breakthrough. And it's hilarious, spiritual ego coming in. I thought my job was done. I was like, I had the enlightenment experience. I did the thing. Where's my gold watch? So I get to retire now, right? It's like, oh no, you just get to start over from scratch.
Mm.
Everything that you've been practicing going in this one direction in your profession, you're going to do something completely different. But as I mentioned earlier, when we look at what's for us in this
Yeah.
and stop looking at life happening to us and looking at life happening for us, I was able to see I'd been practicing my whole life for exactly what I'm doing now. I didn't know it at the time. I didn't even have a signpost or direction of, hey, this destination is where you're going. I was just feeling better and better with every step I took. And so I really encourage people to look at that signpost. What tool, what facilitator, what approach, what practice, what dynamic that I can invite into my life that I haven't experienced before? What can I do right now to help me feel better in this moment? And for me, better means maybe we can just breathe. Maybe we can just be for a moment. And finding that sweet spot can be anywhere. That meditation you touched on earlier. A lot of times people connect with that signal when they're in the shower or going for a walk or chopping vegetables for a meal or gardening or something that takes us out of the thinking, doing space and puts us in that more being open space. So anything can be a meditation. Anything can be that thing that gets us to more space internally so we can connect with that signal. Um, and it's not necessarily as sexy as a heightened experience of plant medicine or something like that, but gosh darn is it effective. And then what I noticed after the experience was an Epsom soak for me was very similar to what a salt bath was for Eleven in Stranger Things. It was an amplifier.
Oh, cool.
And so I was taking Epsom soaks and I was in real time processing things that had been backed up or blocked up within my system for years, relationship with mom, relationship with dad, things from my childhood. And then the other thing it did was amplify the signal. So I started to do a lot of work in the bath, in the soak, because I'd get downloads, I'd get inspirations, I'd get new knowings that would tweak my perception of things I was already doing. But if I was just trying to think my way through it, I never would have had the space or openness to connect with those aha moments, those inspirations, uh, those little, sugar sprinkles from the universe of, hey, you're going in the right direction. And here's another thing for you. Here's something else you can share. Or here is actually, oh, this is the framework that you're creating that you've been kind of, poking around at. Here's the framework for you all in an orderly fashion.
Mhm.
Um, but I didn't, it's funny, I was in resistance to baths even after this experience. So I had my experience on a Thursday. The day after was one of the worst hangovers I've ever had. It was an energy hangover. I didn't have a drop to drink the night before. And it was, I'm sitting there, I still have a full catalog, full client list of design work. So I've got emails, I've got production schedules to maintain. And I'm sitting here punching at the keyboard. I can't even put an email together. I'm just so clouded in my mind. And perfect timing. My wife comes home and she says, because she knows the experience I had the day before, I drove straight to her office after I had it. And I said, okay, I can't do design work anymore. This is all I can do. And to her credit, she said, bet, let's go, game on. And so she gets home from work the following day and I'm like, I can't, I'm dying. This is awful. And she says, did you take the Epsom soak? I'm like, what are you talking about? Because my wife Kelly had worked with this facilitator and the prescription after the session was an Epsom soak to help the session settle. And she's like, yeah, she recommends an Epsom soak after the session. I'm like, the last time I took a bath, I was 5 years old. I'm a man. I take showers. And then she basically said, get in the bath right now. I was like, okay, fine. And that experience in the Epsom soak, the way I describe it is like ET coming back to life at the end of the movie of ET, where I was just like listless and lethargic and felt gray and drained. And all of a sudden it was like, oh my gosh, everything came back online. I was like energized, felt just like I did of this deeper connection, this deeper knowing and reservoir that was always there, but I didn't have the keys to unlock. And that's the space of easefulness that I keep pinging back to. And this is where the consistency comes in. We're all going to get knocked out of the flow state. We're going to all get knocked out of that pocket of that sweet spot of life. But when we do, it's just our system trying to keep us safe. So it's like, oh, thank you, system. I have awareness and recognition of that now. So I'm not getting as yanked in different directions by it. I have awareness of it, and I've got the tools to be able to address it, to inform my system, hey, it's okay. We're okay. Everything's okay. You're safe. And so gamifying that relationship to the inner self is a really powerful way that we can do everything that you've been suggesting and been guiding people towards.
Yeah.
If we can invite humor or levity into it, and if we can gamify the process, it's going to make everything so much more enjoyable and easeful.
Yeah. I mean, to me, as you're talking, I feel like you just up leveled and the universe was
Mm.
like, okay, like the universe within you and around you is like, we're going to the next level, like ready or
Yeah,
not, it's happening. So
yeah,
your physical body kind of broke down the old energies and reintegrated the new ones. And like, you and Kelly said, like, game on, let's go.
there you go. Yeah, that was really it.
So
And
cool.
then it's been relearning and exploring and tweaking. And it's, to your point, it's like just because we're on this journey and we're facilitating and assisting others on their journey doesn't mean that we're exclusive of the work.
Right.
And this is where it's a daily practice. I do these exercises every day because if they don't work, I'm not going to prescribe them. I'm not going to offer them.
Yeah.
And so for me, I want to continue to refine and to evolve and to transform my practices
Mhm.
so I can continue to offer these refinements and distillations and shifts that can help things be easier, be faster, be more effortless and less painful as we are in
Mhm.
this process of emancipation. We're
Mhm.
emancipating ourselves from all the trappings of the programmed life and really delivering us to that place of inner freedom and reconciliation with all of the parts and getting us back in that driver's seat, getting our hands back on the wheel of the plane or the car, depending on how we want to look at it.
Yeah.
So we are in the captain's seat and we can more effortlessly and easily navigate this amazingly diverse and wild planet that we've been so blessed to be able to be here and explore.
Yeah. Yeah. So there's two questions for you
Mm,
that I think you've already answered, but I want to ask the question and then hear your response.
mm.
So the first one is, how have you followed your intuition to greater income? Because this was the up level, and I know you've made money in your business since then. So how have you followed your intuition to greater income?
So two aspects. In my previous design career, it was do good work and all is coming.
Mm,
I just had this knowledge. If we created successful projects and each project we created was successful for the client, then more work would continue to come. So in that regard, my intuition was put your head down and do the darn thing, do good work.
Mhm.
What shifted after my experience, when I shifted more into kind of applying what I was doing to the computer interface to the human interface and helping humans with our interface, um, it took a bit of time, to be honest. As soon as I had my experience in 2019, I shifted right into, in my own experience, a pretty gross spiritual ego. It was just, oh,
Mhm.
as I look back, I was like, oh my gosh, I was being such a jerk and such a just feeling like I was owed something, or because I did this one thing that I deserved something to have without putting in, the sweat equity to get to that point. So for me, I was in a space of a lot of doing and not a lot of being, ironically, after this big enlightenment experience and this shift into this new space.
Okay.
So I did everything. And a lot of the things that other coaches and thought leaders were recommending. So your quiz funnel, you're doing all the practical kind of tactile material things of putting yourself out there and having avenues for people to find you. And it was very noisy. It was a lot of different things, and we were trying everything, and nothing was really sticking. And then, ironically, just within the last year or two, the intuition I was getting was simplify, distill it down. You've done the exploration, you've done a lot of the doing and the producing. Now it's time to distill it down and make it an easy process, because there's so many different aspects to this work. How can I simplify it and make it a really simple process and approach so anybody can pick it up and have success with it? And as soon as I started to get quiet once again and just take things one step at a time, everything started to open up. And the right people at the right time with the right message, I was able to be aware of and clock and integrate. And it's a continual process. I'm not there, just like I don't think there is any there. The journey is the goal. And so the more that we can find our presence, our peace, our contentment, our success, our abundance in the present, the more effortless we attract those things to ourselves. So the intuition has really been taking my own medicine, taking my own advice, and doing the darn thing for myself as I'm recommending and guiding clients through the same thing for themselves. And that's really where I started to notice the orientation shift. Um, Everything started to get a little less challenging. It started to feel like there were more open doors and windows as opposed to things slamming in front of me. And that was really in my kind of second iteration of life profession, that was really the interesting journey, because I had a bedrock knowing my whole life I wanted to be a designer. And then after this experience in 2019 really opened me up into something unintended. I didn't even recognize or know that this is the direction I was going. Again, I was just feeling better internally. All of my symptoms were clearing up. All of the issues that I'd had, some were lifelong, started to reconcile. So it was very self-serving in the way that I was like, well, I'm feeling better with every step I take. I'm going to keep taking these steps. And then I get to this place, I'm like, oh, everybody can do this. This is our birthright. And so it's that continual evolution and distilling down, getting quiet, um, and not getting, I say, I like to share with clients, not getting too far over my skis, not getting too ahead of myself, so that I can catch those doves that are in the garden. So I
You
can
don't have
find
to
that
catch them.
presence.
You just have to watch them. You never catch them. They're just so beautiful.
But that's the thing. If we're not present and aware, we can't clock it. We can't, oh, there.
Yeah.
And catch in the sense of like snapshot the moment. Oh, there, that's what's for me. Be
Yeah.
present for that.
Yeah, I see.
Yeah.
I love that.
Yeah.
I love that. Well, I know we only have like 10 more minutes here. So the last question is, how has following your intuition helped you to help more people? Because what I
Oh,
know is in
wow.
my experience, when I'm following my intuition, I'm just of service, right? And my
Yeah.
income grows, but I'm just naturally helping people because it's the
Yeah.
highest form of love. So again, how has following your intuition helped you to help more people?
It's interesting in how it's evolved for me personally. Um, and it started off, again, very organically and very internally in my own experience, where I was clearing up all my stuff, all my emotional baggage, all my misfiring beliefs, all my faulty triggers. And I started to get clearer and feel more peaceful and calm on the inside. And then I started to feel the old signals, the old symptoms coming back. And through inquiry and muscle testing was connecting with, oh, this isn't my energy. This is the energy from the dad in the fourth booth on the wall at the restaurant we're in.
Mm.
Or it's I'm feeling energy from this town that we're happening to visit on a vacation. All right, what's going on here? Which all has informed my approach of working with clients in the sense that because of these ways that I've started to be aware of and interact with energies that are outside of my own experience, I've evolved that 360 to really guide people to their own intuition using their own guidance. So when I work with a client, I'm using my system so I can almost like as a barometer or like a radar gun. Yeah,
Feedback.
feedback. Yeah, feedback machine. Uh, and our systems have to be calibrated in order to get accurate responses, accurate readings. And again, it's mutually beneficial because the way we calibrate the system is to get grounded, balanced, centered, and then to use some calibration statements, known truths and known falsities that will let us know the system's calibrated. And when we're calibrated, we can actually connect with other people's systems, whether we're in the same room or across distance. Again, this is where quantum physics comes in, because right now we're in different places, but every atom of air you're touching is connected to every atom of air I'm touching. So we can connect in what I like to call it like end-to-end blockchain encryption, basically. It's energetic information being passed back and forth. So I enable clients' guidance to come in and guide them to the answers that they're coming to me for. So it's really just holding up the mirror and saying, hey, this is what your system's telling me. You've already got the answer. You've already got the blueprint. You've already got the treasure map on the inside. I'm just helping shine a light to it because I'm operating from a space of getting Kevin out of the way and just using the signals from the system to guide the interaction, to guide the session. Mm-hmm. And the funny thing is, when we do kind of take this, some might call it a leap of faith, some might call it, taking my responsibility out of the equation. And here's another layer to it. Nobody can heal you. Mm-hmm. We can guide others to their own healing. We can point to the places in the system that have bruises that we can salve, that we can soothe, that we can heal. But if there is resistance within the system, there's nothing, we cannot do anything to move heaven and earth to shift that. That's how powerful of creators we are, for the good or for the bad.
Agreed.
But if we're open to change, if we're ready to experience something different to get new and better outcomes in life, and we're ready to hold up that lens and address whatever's on the inside that's getting in the way of that, that's all we require to really do that deeper work. Yeah. And so in that regard, my intuition has led me to guiding sessions using clients knowing and intuition guidance, I guess, is the long and short of it.
I love it. So beautiful. So beautiful.
And I've never had a wrong answer. We've never connected with something that was a no, in the sense of, no, that's not what's here. Mm-hmm. The opportunity is to get out of our own way so we can connect with it. Real quick example. Working with a client, and we connected with a trauma at, let's say it was like age 34 or something like that. And there were some kind of traumatic emotions connected with it. And the theme around the situation was the dissolution or the end of an intimate or romantic relationship. And my client is racking their brain and they're like, I wasn't dating anybody then. Was it a friendship? Nothing's coming through. So I was like, all right, hold on, let's get quiet so we can actually hear the signal. You were in the noise. Yeah. So guided some grounding, some clearing exercises that took 2 or 3 minutes. And then I like to guide what I call inner inquiry, which is basically just asking to connect with the signal. Mm-hmm. And so guided this process. As soon as we're done with this intense breakthrough breath work is what I like to call it, the client asked the question, what is this relationship at 34 that's impacting me so much? And then 3 seconds later, bing, eyes wide open, staring at me. And it was a remote session, staring at me through the camera. He says, that was the year my parents got divorced. Mm. And so even though it was a parental separation in our adult life, it can still impact us emotionally, energetically, which then translates to physically, to mentally, and to emotionally. But if we're overthinking it, we're probably not going to get to the right answer. if we get out of our own way and allow the answer to come to us, at the very least, it allows us the opportunity to look at it and assess, is this the thing or is it something else? And to that point about keep it simple, the other postulate or the other idea I love to play around with and offer people is Occam's razor. And Occam was or I think he was a German scientist a couple hundred years ago. If anybody's seen the movie Contact, this will be familiar. The simplest answer is usually the right one.
Mm.
And so most often the first thing that comes through when we're in a clear space is the right answer. Even if it doesn't make sense, even if it's like, wait, what? It's not up to our source to give us our path to the answer. It's just up to our source to give us the answer. And then it's up to us to make our way to it by getting all the stuff that's in the way out of the way.
Yeah, 100%. I always have said that for so many years. Your intuition is the first thought. The second one is usually always doubt. It's usually
Right.
always your mind trying to
Safety,
figure it out.
fear, something. Exactly. 100%. Yep.
Love
It's
that.
amazing.
So
It's so
cool.
wild. Yeah,
I know, right?
totally.
Well, truth is truth, right? So,
Yeah.
if you can repeat your website in a
You
way
got
that
it.
I recommend, if you do, intro consultations where they can
Yep.
reach out to you, if you want to just give that information again, so we can all connect in.
Absolutely. KevinRussell.guide is the best hub to then be able to explore any of the spokes that we've talked about, whether it's working one-on-one, connecting with some of the tools and the resources that we offer, whether it's the books we've written, nervous system exercises we offer, information. You're going to be able to get everywhere through that one website, KevinRussell.guide. All my socials are there. You can connect in any way you want. I'd love to understand more of what you're going through because, you know, it's this pretty powerful stuff. And I've really distilled it down to become life agnostic in the sense of we can apply this to any place in life, no matter what our belief systems are, no matter what our orientation to different things in life are. This is really things that we can utilize to optimize these amazing systems we're in, get that handbook, that owner's manual of the multidimensional reality that we live in, energetic, thermodynamic, emotional, spiritual, physical, mental, all of it, because it is to what we've been talking about, it is a holistic exercise. It's a holistic approach.
Yeah, absolutely. And they can book a consultation with you, right? Just to kind of get to know you a little bit.
Absolutely. Straight through the website, 30 minutes. We drop in, of course, no charge. It's really just, hey, does this fit? And if not, I'm happy to make some recommendations. And if it does,
Yeah,
let's go. Let's freaking go. Let's talk more rock. Let's do this thing. No
beautiful.
reason to spend one more minute in anxiety, anguish, pain, dis-ease, miserableness, fear, stress, whatever it is.
Yeah,
It's not needed. Those are old ways of being. There's entirely new ways of being that really can supercharge things in life for us.
I love that. So beautiful. And if you'd like to connect with me, you can go to lifeforceconnection.com to learn more about intuitive development in business and in life. So thank you so much for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you on the next episode. Take care, everyone.